This past week, I took 5 different body fat tests. Each one was with a different method, and I'm going to show you how each one of those went and how they compared at the end of the video here. So really quick, let's just talk about some of the different options you have if you're going to get your body fat tested. One option is skin calipers. That's where they take these little plastic calipers, they'll measure different parts of your body, plug it into an equation, and they can come up with a pretty close estimate of what your body fat would be. However, it all depends on the practitioner, the person doing the measurements. If they're not skilled at it, not very good at it, it's going to be way off. So that's one I don't usually use. Another one that I haven't used for a long time is hydrostatic weighing, just because it's so difficult. You have to get dunked down in a tank, blow all the air out of your lungs, hold still for a while. And not a lot of facilities have this sort of thing. Good luck finding a place to do it these days. Plus, it's kind of like being waterboarded. So I'm not using these 2 methods of body fat testing. So I did use 5 different body fat test methods, all within about an hour. So they'd be consistent. The first one I used was bioelectrical impedance. You've probably seen these little handheld devices at the gym. This is where you put in your age, your sex, your height, your weight, and then it sends a very small current through your body. The more fat there is, the more resistance it's going to be, so it can help determine and give you an estimate of what your body fat percentage is. The second one is similar to that, uses the same concept, but it's usually with lower body, with a body fat scale. Again, your contacts are going to be the lower part of your body, the feet making contact, and it sends that current through, and that'll give you an estimate with your weight of what your body fat is on there. The third method, I went to the rec center. They have a machine there. It's called a 360. It's kind of a hybrid between the first 2. So it measures a body fat scale on the lower body, and then also you're holding some monitors up above, so it gets a more full record there. I did that as the third one. The fourth method was using a bod pod. I do this test every year to kind of track myself. In this, it's like a egg-shaped thing. It looks like it reminds you of Mork and Mindy. Anyway, you go inside there, and it uses the same principle as hydrostatic weighing, except it uses air displacement instead of water displacement. So you go in there, they calibrate it with your information. You have to wear swim trunks, put on a swim cap, take off any extra clothes and jewelry. You sit in there and just breathe normally for about 30 seconds, and it'll come up with an estimate of what your body fat percentage is using this method. And the fifth one is one I'd never done before, but it was the Dexa scan. So I got in the car, rode to my next appointment really quick, and did this one. These are more expensive. They require some expensive machinery, take a little more time than usual. But here you lie down on a table, and they will have this X-ray technology. Now this is sped up, but usually it'll take 7 minutes to go from your head down to your toes, and it does the analysis. And then this is pretty cool because it will give you a breakdown, not just what your body fat percentage is, and bones, organs, all that sort of thing, but it'll tell you exactly where the fat is and which extremities, torso, back, legs, so everything. So it's very detailed, very accurate. And so it was kind of fun to be able to do this finally. Okay, before I show you the results of this, I want to go over why this is important to know your body fat. So many times we just step on a scale and see it going up or down and take mental note. There's a lot more to your health than just how much you weigh. So I want to tell you a quick story. In 2016, I was very active. I was doing Spartan races, lifting weights, running a lot, in great shape. So in 2017, I had a bunch of injuries. I had messed up shoulders, plantar fasciitis, a hip injury, so I was not running. I couldn't lift weights. I moved to Africa, didn't have access to gym and all the exercise I'd been doing, so I was pretty much sedentary for a year. The positive side, though, I wasn't eating a lot of junk food, and so I noticed I was losing some weight. I'd lost about 11 pounds. So when I came back to visit a year later, I made an appointment for the bod pod, had my body fat tested, and I was shocked that even though I went down 11 pounds, my body fat had gone up to 18.5%. As I compared the reports from before and after, I had lost 18 pounds of lean mass. Now that's not all muscle, obviously it could be bones, organs, blood volume, but I had had a lot of atrophy from inactivity, so it just goes to show you, you do use it or lose it. And also it reminds you that it's when you're looking at your body fat and health, it's not just important to look at the weight and the scale and to think about fat loss, but also to maintaining a healthy amount of lean body mass or muscle. So let's go to the results of these 5 tests and see how they were all performed at the same time, at the same weight, and see how they varied. The first one would be the handheld bioelectrical impedance. That one came back at 18% body fat. The body fat scale that I step on, that came back at 15.2%. The 360-degree tester I used at the rec center came back at exactly 16%. They did a couple different tests on the bod pod and averaged them, and it came back at 12.85%. And drumroll, the Dexa scan came back at 21.3%. So this was very frustrating for me because the highest one, the Dexa scan, is the one I know that's the most accurate. So I wasn't very happy about that. But I was also surprised to see such a range there. I know these will vary a little bit one to another for a lot of reasons. And in fact, the handheld one I use every morning, that one, if I wash my hands right before I use it, it'll give me a full percentage off, different than if I wait 10 minutes until it's totally dry. So depending on your activity level, hydration levels, all sorts of things can throw these off. But overall, the takeaway of this is if you use one of these regularly, and you need to find one that works best for you because there's pros and cons to each. It's not convenient to get a Dexa scan or go do the bod pod every week, but the handheld one is something you can keep your eye on, track trends, and just kind of see when you start veering out of where you should be with that. So even though these are not all accurate necessarily, and there can be some room for error on them, it still can give you helpful information, helpful feedback, so you don't encounter creeping obesity, and then you go a year later and find out something and your jaw drops when you realized how bad things have gotten. So I'm a big fan of knowing what your body fat percentage is. It's much more insightful than knowing just a number on the scale. There's a lot more to it, a lot of more information. It'll help you avoid creeping obesity and maintain a healthy weight and a healthy composition as well. So just want to share that with you. I've got a lot of videos coming up. I'm going to the Huntsman Senior Games tomorrow. We're going to be there for 2 weeks. So I'll share some of those events with you. If you're enjoying these videos, feel free to like and subscribe. I'm getting close to 1,000 subscribers, and I'd love to get to that mark soon.